Hello and welcome back to the channel and part 3 of the transit video. We are going to focus now on the rear cross member. So we're not going to break down the quarter panel repairs into videos. One quarter panel section is the same as the rest. So we're going to focus now on the cross member at the back. There's two parts to the cross member, and as you can see in the video that we're going to overlay here, the inner is just rotten. It's a mess, and where it joins to the sort of inner lower rear quarters is all a mess. All that needs to come out. The outer is actually really good, and we're kind of loathed to destroy it. It's got a tiny bit of damage here, which we can put a localized repair in. And I'd always prefer to use an original panel than a repro panel or a copy pressing. So we're going to see if we can just unstitch this, unpick it, and that can go again without too much aggravation. And then we've got the new inner, which is going to go in there, the reverse of this panel here. So we'll start unpicking that now and getting the outer off. The outer also overlaps the floor pan, so we're going to play it by ear a little bit with the video. We may leave it at just the rear cross member. We might carry it on into getting the floor pan in there as well, because they are kind of intertwined. So we'll see how it goes. We'll start unpicking this now and see where we get to. Right, so there's the outer valance off. It all looks a bit of a mess behind here, but we can clean all this back. This is the old, that's the inner cross member flange. With this on the bench, we can find all the spot welds, drill them out, tidy all this up. It is pretty good. It is just that bit of damage there. So I think we'll probably look at saving this, just repairing that piece of damage there, clean all this up, and we'll epoxy it before it goes back onto the van. So with that out of the way, we'll put that to one side now. And this is this. So you can see if you come in here that the floor pan sits onto here, because here's a floor pan sitting on top of the cross member here. What you've also got, which isn't too clear at the minute, the chassis outriggers from underneath, they're spot welded in through here. And then we've also got the inner strengthener piece here of the, I don't know what you'd call this, the back of the quarter panel. And the tailgate structure is all spot welded onto there as well. So it's triple skinned here. Cross member, that is another panel, and then that's yet another panel. So we're going to have to spend a little bit of time carefully trying to unpick all of this without losing our dating points, which is always key. So what we'll probably do now is from underneath, we'll come in and we'll cut round all of the chassis outriggers and get the bulk of this out of the way. So we've got, from here, we've got access and line of sight everywhere that we need to get all of this out and get the new piece into position, which will then incorporate all of this panel in here. So we'll get on and we'll do that, because what I want to do really is get the new panel at least screwed into position, and then we'll make a judgment call then on whether we crack on and get the floor out before this is finally welded into place. So that's where we're at now. We will set about cutting all this out, clearing it out of the way, and take it from there. Okay, so now with the bulk of all the rusty section removed and out of the way, we've just left these end caps basically where it welds onto the back of the chassis leg and the outriggers at the back. So we'll go through now and drill out all these spot welds. This side's just a mess and all crumbled away. Over here, we've still got it attached to the base of the rear quarter here. So again, we'll drill down the spot welds, pull all this panel out. As the floor pan is being replaced anyway, we're not going to waste a load of time drilling out all these spot welds. We'll just zip a cutting disc straight through the back there, not cutting into the chassis legs, of course. To get this all out of the way, ready to get the new panel lined up, strapped in, and then onto the floor pan. Right, coming into winter now, so changeable weather. Freezing cold this morning, roasting hot now. So, all this is now cut out. We've drilled out all the spot welds, we've cleaned up so we can see now the end of all these, well, we've got the chassis legs here, and then we've got outriggers here. So they're cleaned back, all this is cleaned back, and we are now looking inside and sort of pondering where to go next, apart from finding the torch that I did have here. So if you want to come around this side, Luke, we'll, sorry, torch evades us now. If you look up inside here, we've got replacement panels for this. This reinforcer in the corner here, as you can see, there's some corrosion coming through here. So we'll put a section in there. And it's exactly the same on the other side if you want to go and have a look. A little bit worse on this side, so we've got a big section to put in here. So I think what we're going to do now as a next step is there's repairs to be made onto these outriggers. But I think what we're going to do is there's enough dating points. If we remove this panel, which we have a replacement for anyway, we can get this out of the way both sides. and we can just screw it into place and hold it so we know where we're at. And then I think we're probably going to take the back section of the floor out and then get the cross member all lined up so that we know everything's where it needs to be before we move on to take more of the floor out and finally weld it in position. So a little bit of moving around now to do to get all that. We want the new panels that we've got in place and then lift the floor, and then we'll build the chassis outriggers to the new panels, because we've got good datum points here to get the new panels where they need to be, and then we can make our repair sections where they need to be rather than working to the corroded metal that's in there now. So we'll crack on with that now. Screw this into place, cut these ones out, screw those into place once we've made up this repair section each side, and then look at moving on to the floor. So crack on with that now. Right, pretty sure if you ask anyone that does any sort of metal work or body work, they'll always tell you we'd far rather deal with a rotten car than a rotten repaired car. The reason for that is, a good example here, we've seen how bad that side is with patches and so on. It's not much better this side, and what is a fairly simple panel to remove has become a real pain in the neck to remove, because you're also trying to undo previous gas welded MOT repairs, loads and loads of silicon filler. There's a new one. Silicon filler, bridging up gaps for just to get through an MOT. So the little jobs grow, and that's where the time goes. We're trying to unpick it. We could just take a gas axe in there and cut it all out, but we need our datum points to know where everything's going back again. So we'll spend a little bit of time unpicking things. And when we say unpicking, if you come in here, Luke, aluminium from underneath, which I'll overlay a quick little video, we've got a tie down point here, and where the inner panel at the back there is rotted out, someone's welded to the tie down point a horrible MOT repair. So we're trying to unpick all of this rather than just gash it out the way, because we want the tie down point. I don't want to destroy it. So if I come in this side and you come in this side, Luke, you'll be able to see, I don't know if you can zoom in there and see the indentations here. We've got one there, there's one there, and I think there's probably another one there. So we'll just clean this back to bare. It's been blasted, but we'll just clean it with a wire wheel just so we can see all the little marks there. And those are spot weld points, which if we now swap around positions, Lou, I will hopefully simply drill these out, and we'll be able to get the jacking point, the tie down point out the way. And then we should be able to get this remaining bit of panel out. Right, hopefully, if I just stick that up in the air now, we should be able to just pop that off. You'll be able to see what we've got going on under there. The world's slowest ramp. I think we'll just speed this up with a bit of editing. This is the tie down point here that we're trying to release. This is the old patch repair that went across into this horrible patch repair. So little by little, we're just working our way through, trying to unpick all of this. And it's all a bit of a mess. What I was hoping was that would now release, which it still might. Well, there's obviously not a spot weld up there that we missed. There's a good old bit of metal fatigue, and it's coming. He says okay, we'll drop it back down again. We'll do a bit of speeding up. So in YouTube world, the ramp comes down a lot quicker than it does in the real world. Somewhere in here, Oh, notice that it's just not let go of that spot weld yet, so hopefully I can just drill that a little bit further. Can't see any other spot welds in this area, but it's not keen to let go. There it goes. And there goes that one. Right. A bit more time lapsing as the ramp goes up. Well, you can see this is holding on, but I certainly wouldn't trust it with a tie down. There she goes. Then we've just got the remnants here of that panel, which will just need unpicking now and pulling down out of the way. But you can see with this little piece that we're doing here with you, just how much fun it can be trying to unpick everything. So what we'll do in a minute, we'll just zip through there, get that out of the way. We can clean up these, which now will leave us with the panel I've left up the top, of course. I won't slow you down with more time lapse up and down with the ramp, but we can get that new panel in there shortly. We're just going to make the repair into this section as we said we're going to do, and then that panel can then get, we're going to screw everything into place. So as I said before, we'll have this, both of these ends screwed into place, and then we'll start taking out the floor to ascertain what we're going to do with the side member extensions. So we'll crack on now, get that done. Right, okay. Bit of a mission that really. We're going to kind of wrap this up, this video here, because this is taking a little bit longer than we thought. And I think when we edit this back, it's probably quite a long video of potentially not achieving a great deal, but we know we have. The back to the rear panels now, we've cut all that out, repaired in there, as you've seen in videos as we've gone through here. The inner rear panel is now bolted into position. It may well come back out again, but we just want to bolt everything up at the minute because there's so much going on in here with the floor coming out. Once it's welded in, we're stuck with that position. So we use these self-drilling screws, which you've seen throughout the video, which are really good. They've got a great bite to them. They'll hold everything just where we need it to be while we get everything else in and lined up. Bit of a sod actually, the back panel, getting the inner back panel in. We've ended up cutting out little sections in the floor here, each side, which allows the back of the van to go a little bit limp. So we've got a bit of spread. We can open it up to get the back panel in. Now there's so much inner structure in here still that I've got no concerns whatsoever. I mean, everything's just sprung back exactly where it needs to be. So it has actually gone in really nice. We're lined up with our little markers. These little divots in the new panel, they line up with the center of the chassis leg and the outriggers. Our little locator tabs in here line up with the original ones in here. So we've got some tidying up and trimming up to do, but that's all lining up with where it needs to do. This will obviously get pulled back into position when it's clamped up for final welding, but we're pretty pleased with how this has gone in so far. What I'll do in a minute before we close off in the video is we'll do a little walk around underneath so you can show where everything's in and clamped. I mean, just briefly, you can see those panels are dusty, but those panels are bolted into place, clamped into place. They've lined up really nicely on both sides with all the repairs on the inner. So yeah, we'll do a little overlay of the underside to go over this as well. So we are going to call it time on this week's video on the Transit this far. It's Friday late afternoon, early evening now. This video will be going out tomorrow morning, and I will be continuing with this tomorrow morning, setting about getting the floor pan cut out, because that will be our next task on this now, getting the floor out and accessing all the chassis outriggers from the top that need repairing and replacing. We'll repair, replace, lay the floor over the top, clamp everything down, bolt everything down with the self-drilling screws as you've seen us do. And once everything's lined up and working as it should do, we'll even get the tailgate in just to make sure these are exactly where they should be. But I've got no concerns with that at all. Always worth checking first. Once the floor's all bolted up and into position, then we'll start welding it all in. But we will be continuing with this, and there'll be less of a break between part 3 and part 4 than there was between part 2 and part 3. So there we go. That's it for another week. Loads of big things coming up, which we'll keep you posted with. We've got next week won't be a transit video because we've got Novel coming down. You know you made it when you get a guest on your channel, but we've got Novel coming down to do a talk through on some of their product. So that'll be next week's video, and then we'll be back very soon with the transit and other goings on. So please hit subscribe, follow the page. We are now weekly, and hopefully a bit more interesting next time. This seems like a bit of a slog to get very little, but as we've said throughout this, it's just getting through MOT welding patch repairs over rusty metal is a slog. So anyway, I'll shut up now, hit subscribe, see us next week. Cheers.